Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. This is the day that I come just to chat with you about our verse from the week. If you'll remember, last week I shared that Mondays now I'm teaching at St. Joe. I'm teaching PE all day. So what used to be our Monday Facebook Live has turned into a different day of the week, and still working on that schedule. But today I want to talk about freedom. You know that I love to talk about that. I love to talk about the freedom that we can have in Christ and the price that He has paid for us. In fact, right now we're doing a Living Fit and Free group. You'll see a lot of the things that I write about or say talks about finding fitness, finding freedom in a fit and healthy life. But today I want to talk about, Jesus came to set us free, but why? Why did He do that? Why did He come for this freedom? Yes, He came to save us, but He came to set us free, and that was a huge price that He had to pay. He loves us unconditionally, and He would have done that, for one of us, for all of us. He wanted to come. Our verse this week was back in Luke 4, 18 through 20. And it says, and this was Jesus reading, it says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because He has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And then it says, then He rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and everybody was just looking at Him. He had come to set them free. He had come, and He is still here today. He is still available to us today, to give us that freedom. But why did He do that? What am I doing? What are you doing with that freedom that He paid for us, that He has given us? He came to set me free. Why did He do that? Why did He come and set you free? He did that so that we could live the life that He has called us to live. So first of all, what do we have to be set free from? Yes, we have to be set free from sin, but then there are those chains, that bind us, and each of us have, different things, different chains in our lives, different things that hold us back, things that the enemy wants to use to distract us from what God has called us to do. I've shared my story with you before, but I will just briefly share that, even after I accepted His forgiveness for my sin, I still let things, the concerns of this world bind me up and distract me and really just consume me. For me, it was being consumed with thoughts about weight loss, how I looked. Was I pretty enough? Was I thin enough? Would the way that I ate and I exercised, all week long, would that be good enough for my Friday morning weigh-in? I mean, literally, it's embarrassing to say, but everything that I did, all of my thoughts were about that, either how I felt in my clothes, how I felt like I looked in my clothes. All of that thing, was just consuming my every thought. And then that determined my mood. It determined my attitude towards myself, towards the people around me. So that was something that I needed to be set free from. I needed to let that go, let God take care of that, let Him with His power break those chains, because the enemy wants nothing more for us than to be, bound up by something, anything that would make us feel stuck, anything that would keep us stagnant, and not moving forward and not being used by God. He wants us to be bound up with anything, but God came, Jesus came to break us free from those chains. So, when I was obsessed with those things, my focus, it was on me. It wasn't on the people around me and the calling that God, had for me to serve others, to love others, whether it's just the people in our families or the stranger in the checkout line. When we are bound up by something, we are not freed up to live that life that God has called us to live, to do the things that He has called us to do. So yes, Jesus came to set us free. So what is it that you and I have been set free to do? What is that? It doesn't stop, from just being set free. But now we're called to go out and then to live the life, that He's called us to live. So, today, just the thing that I ask you is there something that's holding you back? Is there something that's distracting you? Do you need freedom like I did? Yes, I had Jesus, but I was still letting things in my life, um, distract me from living in the fullness and doing what He has called me to do. So do you need freedom? He came, that promise is there. He came, to set you free. And then are you being about and doing that business that He's called you to do? Essentially, what are you now doing with that freedom, that price that He paid? What is it that you are doing, with that? Are you living that life that God has called you to live? So go back and look again at that Luke 4, when He says, I've come to set prisoners free. I've come, for a life and to bring healing. But, we have to ask ourselves, if we accept that and when we accept that, then why? Why did He do it? Yes, He did it because He loved us, but it's because He wants to use us. There are people in your life, around you that need you. Again, whether it's your family or whether it's a stranger you're going to encounter today. On those days and in that phase of my life when I was just bound up and obsessed with thoughts, of my own struggles and all of that, I wasn't looking around to the opportunities and the doors that God was opening, to use me. So let's not let that bondage, take us away from what God has called us to do. So let's, I just encourage you today to find that freedom, to live in that freedom, to accept the freedom that He, the price that He's paid for you, to receive that. And then what are you going to do with that? Go out and live the life that He's called you to live. Be the man and the woman that He's called you to be. Each of us, He's given us gifts. He gives us opportunities to share His love with others. So yes, He's come to set us free. Yes, He does love us, but He has set us free so that we can go out and to serve others and follow that path that He has for each of us. So I hope that that's encouraging to you. It challenges me, believe me, when I say that I continue to daily ask for His freedom and walk in that freedom, because it's very easy, if you've been bound by some sort of chain in your life, that that's kind of the enemy's default. When a struggle comes along, he wants me to get right back into that, worry about, the concerns about myself or anything that is going to keep us from living the life God has called us to. Because I know, we know that when we are living that life, then others are seeing Jesus, others are experiencing Jesus. And, maybe you may encounter somebody that today will be the first time that they experience God's love. So let's not, let these things of the world consume us and keep us bound up, and prevent us from doing that. So I just encourage you to go out, live that life that God has called you to live, walk in the freedom. He paid that price, so walk in that freedom today and do all that He has called you to do. So have a fantastic Wednesday. Thanks for being here, and I will talk to you soon.